Hi, Passionators. I'm back. I'm charged up. Yay! I finally got my phone charged up, so I have enough battery to actually talk to you. But I am outside, so that's why the lovely headset gear we got going on here. But hi, come on in. The weather is actually a little bit milder this time. It's near 40-ish. Hi, Latanya. It's good to see you. Venetia, thank you for coming. Yeah, hi, Shirley. I just wanted to talk a little while. Thank you for sharing, Latanya. That's really cool. Thank you. Please. Art, oh my goodness. I would rant and rave about your event, but I'm getting to you. Please feel free to share this video because I want to talk about something that we talk about a lot, especially when we talk about remembering in relationships, particularly. People use that word frequently, and normally they're talking about recall. They have a mental picture in their mind of something that already happened, and when they remember it, they replay it in their minds. It's about what they recall along with the emotion that they attach to it. So very often when people refer to what they remember, it's much more about what they feel than it is about what factually happened. Yeah. That's why if you talk to two people who share the same memory, you may very well get two very different stories. Not because the facts of what happened are different, but because the way they feel about them is different. But while I have a few minutes, I just wanted to offer something a little bit different in the way of what it actually means when we remember something. How do I explain this? Okay. When we remember, it's less about what we recall than it is about what we connect. Here's what I mean. To dismember is to disconnect. That is the definition for dismember. It's to separate. When we remember, we take what has been separated and rejoin it. Stay with me. We rejoin it. So when we remember something, we take two things that have been separated, two things that are not connected to each other, and we rejoin them in a way that makes sense to us. That's often how we address what we've been calling the cognitive dissonance that goes on with many of us, which is basically when what we believe doesn't match our reality. We call that cognitive dissonance. So when we remember things, we take things that are not connected and we reconnect them in a way that satisfies our emotion about it, which may or may not be factually accurate. So when you are remembering, when you are rejoining your emotion to what actually happened, be careful, be conscious, be aware of what's fact and what's feeling. Because when we are in our feelings, we have a tendency to screw up the facts. And many times that works against us because we make the facts worse than they actually were, or we make them better than they actually were. Particularly when we're remembering a relationship from the past that we ended for whatever reason. We have a tendency when we go back to do one of two things. We remember it as worse than it was, or we remember it as better than it was. But very rarely do we remember it the way it actually was. because that takes a level of consciousness and awareness of what you're actually thinking and feeling that most of us refuse to exercise because we're committed to what we remember the way we remember it. And we're not open to remembering the facts of what happened with a different emotion attached to them. I'll use myself as an example. This isn't about a romantic relationship, but when my father left, I was 5 years old. For a very long time, when I remembered that, I remembered it as he left because there was something about me that wasn't enough to keep him at home. It wasn't until I was a fully formed adult that I could remember the facts of him leaving with a new emotion attached, with the understanding that he did that because of him, not because of me. That he did that because of what was going on with him and my mother, and it didn't have anything to do with me. But again, it's the same situation. And nothing about that situation changed when I changed the emotion that I attached to it. It didn't change the history at all. It didn't change how the history affected me. But it did change how I saw myself and how I saw my position in the world, how I saw my value as an individual. When I remembered the same thing, the same facts, with a different emotion attached to them. So when we remember, we connect things that are disjointed. What we have to be aware of in order to do it in a way that actually serves us rather than disserves us is to do it in a way that is still factual. I'm not suggesting that you lie to yourself, but that you open your mind and your emotions to the possibility that there's another way, there's another meaning that you can attach to it and still be factual and still tell the truth. And there's a way that you can do that so it heals your heart instead of hurts it. I was hurt for a long time with that wound, and a lot of people are, not just women. A lot of us are adult children of divorce, and the whole issue of abandonment is a deep scar that many of us carry, and it shows up in a lot of different ways in all of our relationships. And I was a fully formed adult before I finally got it to a place where I was content with it, where I was at peace with it, where I could accept it for what it was and not twist it into something that it wasn't. So this message is about that. As much as I can encourage you, particularly when you remember things that are painful for you to recall, that instead of making them the worst possible memory that you can, attach another meaning that serves you. Attach a meaning that reminds you of the strength that it took for you to become who you are now, even after that. Of the bravery and the courage and the resiliency that it took for you to become someone who could actually talk about it, think about it, and live after it in a way that made you want to still love, that made you want to still give, that made you want to still try, that made you believe when you didn't want to believe, that people were actually still loving and giving and caring. That even after whatever trauma or whatever drama has wounded you, that you could remember it factually and be better and not bitter. I hope that was helpful. It's just something that was on my mind, and like I said, I was unsupervised and unscheduled for a little while. So I just really wanted to leave you with that, in the hope that it would be encouraging because many of us are in pain about many things, and rightfully so. But those painful memories really don't have to destroy us, because at the end of the day, nothing has any meaning except the meaning that we assign to it. So whatever we decide it means to us is what it's going to mean to us. That's not something that someone else can decide for you. So once you embrace that, once you take control of that, and you dictate your own narrative, you'll be surprised. You'll be pleasantly surprised at how much easier it is for you to accept your faults, your weaknesses, your failures, whatever you perceive as a drawback or a weakness. It'll be easier for you to embrace those as part of the divine, radiant, brilliant package that is you, and go forward with it, and not try to hide it, and not shrink from it, and not try to justify it or explain it or any of that other madness, because you don't have to. You don't owe that to anyone. You just don't. You don't owe that to anyone. So don't get caught up in it. You know, if someone wants you to do something that says that you know doesn't feel right to you, you don't have to explain that to anybody. You know, if someone wants your attention, they don't automatically get your attention just because they think they want it. So don't feel like that. You know, you don't have to do that. You really don't. So of the many things that I could go into, that's really what I wanted to make sure I share with you today. Remembering isn't about recall. It's about rejoining. Be careful how you rejoin. Rejoin in a way that serves you rather than hurts you. And it will change your life and how you live it. And it will absolutely change your relationships. So, enjoy the rest of your day and go forward in love every way you can. And I'll be back to talk to you soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye.